Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I want to talk about Criminal Minds. They have a new season that came out about a year ago, and not a whole lot of people have talked about it, I don't think. It's called Criminal Minds Evolution, and I thought I would talk about that. So here's my go at it. So right off the bat, I will say it is great to be back in the Criminal Minds. Uh, talking about Criminal Minds, being a part of Criminal Minds. It's great to be back as far as watching the show goes. My first watch, I was like, oh my god, I'm on this. Like I was excited, and overall, like I think to me this is one of the best shows out there right now. Because it's darker. It's very different. If you were going into this thinking that you're going to get the same experience you got for the past 15 years, no, no. Well, you're going to get a similar experience, but you're not going to get the exact same experience. It's very fresh. It's very nuanced. It does a lot of things that I absolutely love. And by the way, you're seeing some additional footage of the pack I'm working on. I just did this down here. And I just want to say, I mean, I think it's a great show overall. I think it's a really amazing show. We'll get into the characters, we'll get into the plot, we'll get into all of that here in a minute. But I just want to say, first of all, thank you guys for coming back. As far as you guys watching my videos, I know I've been kind of gone, and then I come back, and then I'm gone again, then I come back again, then I'm gone again, and I think you understand where I'm coming from. I've been gone for a while now, and now I'm back. So hopefully it's a permanent coming back, hopefully, but I don't know. Anyways, back to what I was talking about. Anyway, so getting into the plot of Criminal Minds Evolution, I would like to just basically give you an idea of what Criminal Minds is like beforehand, just to kind of give you an idea of what you're going into. So if you've never heard of Criminal Minds, first of all, you've been living under a rock. But secondly, let me just tell you something. Criminal Minds is a show about these FBI people uh, who work for the BAU, which is the Behavioral Analysis Unit, and they catch serial killers, which I'm gonna have to censor that. But they don't touch anything. They catch serial killers. Okay, okay, okay. This will be edited out. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that they catch these criminals, and they're really good at it. They basically go in and they look at all the evidence, and they look at the behavior of this unsub, also known as unknown subject, and they catch him. And that's a very brief way of explaining it. I highly recommend you get Paramount Plus or something like that. I'm not sponsored by Paramount Plus, but I recommend getting a subscription service and watching all the way through from the very beginning all the way to up to now, because they are releasing the season 17 here soon, and I'm not sure when. But they have started filming it, or they're about to start filming it. I'll put that information up here. So if you want to go check that out, I highly, 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 highly recommend you go check that out. So knowing all of that and the backstory of that, going into this new season, I was kind of worried because ever since the pandemic, it feels like shows have been very flat, and boring, and just they haven't really done anything new or interesting, and so when you take a bite out of Criminal Minds season 16, which is Criminal Minds Evolution, it's like a breath of fresh air. It's so fresh. It's so, and like you go back to like my season 15 reviews, right? Where I was not liking season 15 because season 15 just it you know how I felt about season 15 and I still feel this way is season 15 of Criminal Minds put you in a corner and said you get to watch, you don't get to be a part of any of this. It's like they wanted us to just sit down and watch it. And like in the other shows, it's like you were trying to help them figure out a mystery. Like it felt like you were, because like you knew a little bit about what was going on, and it just. But in season 15, it just felt like they didn't need any more help. It was a very much of a like a very wrapped up season, like let's wrap this up as soon as possible. And so it felt like as far as the viewership went for season 15, it just felt like I didn't want to be a part of it because it didn't feel engaging. It didn't feel like the other seasons where it was engaging, it was fun, it was interesting. But this really takes the cake. This finally invites you back in, very warm and welcoming. It invites you back in. The set is, I mean, I am very impressed with how they were able to get the set to be as accurate as it was before. And I believe they built it completely brand new. And I mean, now it's more modern looking, but it looks great. And of course, I wish I could show you some pictures, but because of copyright related problems, I can't. And I should say this at the very beginning of my review. I need to put this here that I do not own the show. I do not work on the show. I am not a part of the filming of the show. I am just somebody who likes the show. I am in no way trying to abuse copyright. I will put like a copyright thing up here. I'm not trying to copyright anything. Anything I talk about is, my theories. They are not, um, you know, these are my opinions is what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to copyright. I'm not trying to start a lawsuit or anything like that. Like I just love the show. I love talking about it, and that's where we are right now. Is like I just want to talk about it, and so I'm in no way trying to, because like I've been very sketched out because YouTube has a very strict copyright policy, and I've just been trying not to use any photos or image, like none of that. And so I've been trying to just do my own thing. Baby, go down there. Yeah, go down there. Sorry, that's my new cat. Oh, did I tell you I got a new cat? Anyways, what I'm saying is that in no way am I trying to abuse the copyright system or do anything like that. Like I love the show. I love the people who create the show. I love Paramount Plus. I'm not sponsored in any way by Paramount Plus. I just want to put that out there. I'm not sponsored. Um, but I just like the show. I love the show and I love where it's going, and I'm excited to see more. So I'm just a fan. I have to say this because again the copyright strikes, and stuff like that. Like I yeah, it's just I don't want to get claimed or anything like that. So there won't be any photos or anything like that. I will talk about it and I will try to be descriptive about it, but I also want to let you guys see the show for itself as well and experience the new season. It is definitely a lot better than season 15. It does it does sort of welcome you back into the show overall. Like it just does a really great job of welcoming you back in and saying, "Hey, remember me? Remember your good old pal Criminal Minds? Hey, we're back." It's and I love all the characters. I really do. It's a shame that there's a couple characters that don't come back, and that's a shame. But they might come back in the future if this takes off and if it becomes something big. Then they might come back. Who knows? They might. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm going to try not to because I want you guys to experience it for the first time. But I will say that to me, is a solid 9 out of 10. Granted, I could have some bias towards the show because I grew up the show. but it is a solid 9 out of 10. I love it. Um, I love the stuff with JJ. I love the stuff with Penelope. I mean, there's a certain Penelope storyline that I'm not a huge fan of, which bumps it down to a 9 for me because it just kind of feels like, like we've been through this before, you know. But I really like the fact that they were able to mention a lot of Easter eggs and stuff into the show, and they were able to do it in a way that was very, flavorful. Um, it's it's not perfect. I mean, the show does have some stuff, but I want this to be the no spoiler review of season 16, and then of course, um, maybe if this video does well, I'll do like a spoiler review or something like that. Um, but yeah, I want you guys to enjoy it. A couple things to note is that it the when you guys get back into the show, it is not just a normal let's get back in and dive back in and dip that chip back in and eat it. It's not your normal run of the mill Criminal Minds. It starts off where the team is pretty much separated, and they have to try to find a way to get back together in the best way they know how, and of course, like there's a villain. There's actually a couple villains in this show, in this season. Um, One of them is like Linda Barnes, but I don't think anybody could be as worse as Linda Barnes. Linda Barnes is, to me, she was the worst, but there is some of that stuff that goes on, like the political stuff that goes on that went on in season 13. But I mean, it's a fresh take on it, and a lot of it is reasonable. Like you can watch it and be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Whereas before, like it felt like, oh, this will be over by the end of a couple episodes or something like this. This guy, you end up liking him. He's a guy, and you end up liking his character after a while. And that's all I'm gonna say about him. He's kind of mean at first, but then you kind of understand where he comes from, and that makes it a lot better because you have somebody who you can't really hate, because you see, and then like there's a lot of real life stuff that happens too that is really cool, and how they're tying in modern day stuff into this show is really awesome. And I, and like one thing that I was worried about going into the show was like this season was, oh, they're gonna mention the pandemic, and they really didn't. I mean, they kind of did, but they did it in a way that was very fresh, and overall, like it wasn't like oh, better go get my mask, my mask on and things like that. Like it didn't take the immersion out of it, like it was still a really great way to explain it. And they only mentioned it a couple times. There are some deaths that happen before the show, before season 16 happens. Um, and they are mainly off-screen deaths. And so there's a character in there that's been a character since season 3, that has a hard time dealing with a loss. And it comes out of the blue because, you know, uh, in seasons 14 through 15, or I even want to say 13 through 15, they tried to build up this character as far as having uh, a relationship with another character, and they finally end up doing that at the end of season 15. Like they're pretty much an item, um, and these people have been rekindling, but in season 16, like it's a bit of a shock when you realize that, oh crap, there's a death, and that was this character. And honestly, I feel like that's another thing that kind of lowered the score for me, is that character really didn't deserve to die, and I would have been very happy to see that character succeed, and to still be alive and well. And I mean, it's just very sad, but I see why they did it. They wanted to add a more personal story onto the main character's story, and that's great. Um, and of course, like if you've seen season 16, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I'm not going to be mentioning any names here because it's kind of, you know, it's like I want you to go see it. It's one of those things where it's like I wouldn't censor myself so much, but I definitely want you guys to go see it. Um, by the end of the season, you think, oh, they might have it all wrapped up. They don't. They don't. The guy who they're after somehow created a like a business, almost like an undercover business of serial killers, and it's really interesting to see how they uncover it. And one of the things that I want to mention so much is I love the way they filmed this season. I love the differences with it. I love the way that there was this beautiful cinematography, and I don't know who Paramount Plus is hiring to do all the cinematography for their shows, but they need to keep hiring those people because holy shit, this show looks great. This show looks amazing, and I almost wish that the other seasons looked as great as this season does. And now people are gonna say they're gonna say, oh well, I bet in 10 years people are gonna be like, oh, this looks so crappy now. No, this show, oh my god, they have really they've taken now. I mean, it feels different without some of the characters being there, and the story is different. It doesn't really follow that same episode style every day. Every week is the same thing over and over again. They've done away with that for the most part. Like there's a couple episodes on the back end that feel that way, but they're kind of refreshing because it's like you kind of get a break from the main story and you get to focus on something else, you know. Um, and at the end, it's like how they tie everything in. I feel like I mean, there's a big cliffhanger at the end, but there's definitely a huge um, issue, I want to say, with how they like the ending of it kind of felt rushed. Like it kind of felt like, oh crap, we still have to find a story here, because for the most part of it, like you don't know what's going on until like the back end. The back end is the best part of this season, the back half of it, um, because it focuses more on the overall story. Um, but at the same time, it's like overall, even though they kind of rushed the ending, I think it was really great. Um, and it's not really the ending, because there was that cliffhanger at the end where we don't know who's going to walk through that door. And a lot of people have been speculating that it's going to be a character that we haven't seen for a while. I think it's just going to be whoever they can grab. Um, but I hope it really is a great way to start the show again. Like I hope that season 17 doesn't start, in a weird way. Like I hope it actually starts in a decent way. Cuz like there's these whole entire things of like how when a show has a cliffhanger like that and then they come back for the new season and the cliffhanger just kind of gets tossed away right off the bat and is not really as big as people thought it was going to be. Like it's kind of disappointing, when that happens. But overall, I think it's great. I think it's amazing. I think it's going in the right direction. And I know this is like a spoiler for review, and I wish I could explain more to you. But again, this is one of those shows that I just want you to see. Please go see it. Please go boost the ratings. We need this show to come back again. We need this show to continue because this season is amazing, and I can't wait for season 17. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, thank you, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great one.